Hi everyone, it's Kendra Dublin and we're back for another video on the misconceptions of purpose. And we hope that this series has been great for you thus far, and some of the things that you have thought about and believed or didn't believe. Hopefully we're able to get those things straight for you so that you can continue to live out your purpose for God, through God and in God. So for today, we're talking about do you have to have traditional gifts to serve your congregation, to serve people, but mainly to serve in your congregation? And so we all have a lot of gifts that we operate in. So you could be a photographer. You could be someone who is an artist in any different realm, whether it's makeup or photography or design. You could be gifted in landscaping and writing. It can be teaching. It can be sewing, leadership, encouragement, intelligence, in acting, in fitness. You can be gifted in problem solving. So there's so many different gifts, and that just scratches the surface of the things I just told you about. There's so many gifts that we have that we don't use for God, even in like what we would call more in the mainstream part of life, that we could be using for our congregations, and cultivating a newness of what our churches can look like. So too often we're stuck in what's already happening, what's going on, and not bringing new ideas, new ministries into our congregations that fall in line with the vision. So if you're going to give somebody or bring something to your congregation, it needs to follow through with the vision of the congregation itself. And then how does your gift, how does your ministry, how can you implement it in your congregation? So you don't have to have traditional gifts to operate in your congregation. You have to know the mission of your congregation so you can understand how you can use your ministry in your congregation. So whether it is photography, you could be an historian. If it's landscaping, be a part of the building and grounds and have that thing looking great with the flowers and the trees you plant and all those different things, so that when people see your congregation and see the church from the outside, it's like, wow, like they even care about not just the building itself, but what it looks like and how it feels. Because people who love landscaping, it is like the first, it's almost like the first thing you see in that piece, in the organization of what it all looks like and the beauty of the colors that elevates what the congregation and the church as a physical standpoint looks like. If you're a writer, when I was a part of my congregation when I was in Greensboro, we wrote blogs as our church ministry, and it was talking about whatever the sermon was. We would relay that same message, but how that message has impacted us. What are different parts of our life that related to that particular message. It was a testimonial. It was so many different things that we could do as writers for God, for our church ministry. So if you're writers out there, you can do the exact same thing, blogging for God, within your congregation, bringing other young adults, bringing other people who are writers, for God's glory. If you are sewing, you can do different things like sewing for different causes that are happening, out here. Whether it is social injustices, whether it's people who are homeless. There's so many different things that we can do when it comes to people who are sewing, for the people who are even less fortunate in our congregation, sewing different clothes and different things that you can do for them. But those kind of ministries can be in our congregations. If you are an encourager, are you sending out greeting cards? Are you texting the people who are in your congregation weekly? Are you cultivating something that is intentional for all the different people in your congregation? You can bring that to your congregation. If it is a health ministry, bring the fitness in there, and not just we're going to, hang out 1 hour one day, but really cultivating what it looks like for the fitness, for, meal plans, for different workouts that works for different body types, whatever it can be. You can place that in your congregation, because it's all about the whole man. We're spiritual and physical. Problem solving. If you're a great problem solver and you're gifted in that, then more than likely you should be a part of leadership. So it's so many different things that we miss, that we can be implementing, that we can do in our congregations. You don't have to be the preacher. You don't have to be the pastor. You don't have to be these different I would say traditional gifted, or have these traditional gifted leadership roles to make an impact in your congregation. Remember, whatever God is giving you, it is for the body. It is not just for everybody else in the world, but it is also for the body itself. So I'm hoping that helps you with your own misconceptions of, well, maybe I can't implement what I do in my congregation. Maybe it's just too progressive, or maybe it's this, that, and the third. But if you can bring about a great plan, what it can look like in the next 6 months to a year, as you implement it, and how it helps the congregation, how it helps to evangelize, then you can see where all of it fits in, from the traditional things to the new stuff. And then it starts to intertwine with each other, and it elevates the congregation, and elevates the church. Because not only do we have some of the things that we've been doing, but now we're continuing to elevate it. And once you start to elevate different ministries in your congregation, then other people feel free to do the same thing. When you bring something new to the table, somebody else says, wow, I want to bring something new to the table. This is what I've been thinking about over the past year. So remember, you don't have to have a traditional leadership gift to make an impact in your congregation, to make an impact on the world, but especially to make an impact wherever your community of faith is. And go ahead and get started on your purpose today, because tomorrow is too late to be great.